Welcome to Duo Reads, where we decode deep ideas and break down big books, one page at a time. Today, we're stepping into the world of a truly iconic book, one that has resonated with millions and continues to capture imaginations globally. Norman Vincent Peale's The Power of Positive Thinking. It's quite extraordinary, really, when you think about its enduring impact. Selling millions of copies, countless editions, it's attracted such a vast readership.
It really has. And what's particularly compelling, I think, right from the start, is the very personal foundation of the work. Peale dedicates it to his brothers, calls them effective helpers of mankind, which is quite something. And he's remarkably open about his own struggles. He shares that finding this simple, workable philosophy, as he calls it, wasn't some overnight thing. It was the result of significant trial and error. And he really stresses that the ideas aren't just theory. They are, in his words, demonstrated and effective. He offers what he terms a scientific yet simple system of practical techniques, all aimed at helping you achieve more, find better health, and ultimately greater happiness.
That's a huge promise, isn't it? So our aim today is to really get under the hood of this. How does the book claim you can unlock this amazing improvement within yourself? How can you modify circumstances, improve relationships, get healthier, and achieve what Peale calls a victorious life? We're definitely going to unpack some powerful ideas, maybe some surprising insights too. Okay, so let's dive right in. The book kicks off with this incredibly direct, almost unavoidable statement. Believe in yourself. It's not just, a nice thought. He presents it as the absolute bedrock for success and happiness. But he's also aware, very aware, that many of us carry this sense of inferiority and inadequacy. So how does he say that blocks us? And more importantly, how do we build up what he calls sound self-confidence?
Yeah, and what's insightful there is how he pushes you to understand the causes, the roots of those feelings. He points out they often go way back, often to childhood. Maybe you had that older sibling who seemed brilliant at everything. Or perhaps it was something physical. Peale himself talks about being painfully thin as a boy, feeling really self-conscious. Sometimes it's parental pressure, too, The key thing, he argues, isn't to dwell on it, but to recognize where it came from. To understand it's often a learned response, not who you actually are. He even mentions, that loads of successful people weren't exactly top of the class academically.
That's a really interesting angle, understanding the origin. Okay, so we recognize the doubt. Then what? How does Peale suggest we actually overcome it? He brings in a Bible verse, doesn't he? Philippians 4:13.
He does. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. He presents it as a powerful remedy. And he tells this really compelling story about a businessman. This guy was apparently tormented by self-doubt, facing the biggest deal of his life.
Right, feeling totally inadequate.
Exactly. Just felt sunk, as Peale puts it. But he started repeating that verse, saying it aloud, thinking it inwardly before the meeting. And afterwards, he reported it did wonders for him. He was apparently astonished that just, a few words from the Bible could do so much. It really highlights that idea of connecting to a higher power.
Wow. So it's about actively using these affirmations.
Absolutely. And it's not just for crises. It extends to our everyday thinking. Peale really emphasizes consistent, repetitive suggestion, planting confidence ideas deliberately. He says this can actually re-educate the mind, turning it into a power-producing plant. It's like mental reprogramming almost.
A power-producing plant, I like that.
Yeah, and he gives this vivid example of a traveling salesman. This guy clipped scripture cards like Matthew 17:20. If you have faith, nothing shall be impossible unto you. And Romans 8:31. If God be for us, who can be against us? Clipped them right onto his car dashboard.
So he'd see them all the time.
Exactly. And he found that by constantly absorbing these words, letting them sink in, it changed his whole outlook. His fear and defeat thoughts started to fade, and his sales actually improved because, as Peale puts it, his inherent powers were set free. It's like tending a mental garden.
That's a great visual. And this connects to something else, something really profound from Dr. Carl Menninger. Attitudes are more important than facts. Does that feel counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How can our mindset change the facts?
Well, it's not about denying facts, but more about reframing how we interpret and react to them. Peale uses this interesting analogy, the vacuum cleaner method. He tells of this businessman whose associates would always see the negative facts first. Pessimism right off the bat.
Okay.
So instead of arguing, this guy would ask questions, gently probing, designed to, quote, suck the dust, the negative assumptions out of their minds. Then he'd quietly introduce positive angles, positive ideas, until they started seeing the same facts in a completely different way.
So changing the perspective on the facts.
Precisely. It shows how a confident and optimistic thought pattern isn't just about feeling good. It can actually modify or overcome the fact altogether in terms of its practical effect. And this leads straight to that core idea: expect the best and get it.
Right.
Peale argues expecting the worst sort of pushes good things away, a power of repulsion, but expecting the best, that releases a magnetic force that actually draws good outcomes towards you. The story of Josh O'Reilly, the baseball manager, getting his team out of a slump by making them expect hits, not just hope for them. That's a perfect illustration of this magnetic pull he talks about.
Expectation is a magnetic force. It's a powerful concept.
Yep.
Okay, let's shift gears slightly. How does this apply to things like worry, stress, unhappiness, things we all grapple with? He draws this really sharp contrast, an ear full of trouble versus a mind full of peace. What's the practical advice there?
Well, the main point is the direct link he sees between your mental state and your physical reality. Our thoughts aren't just thoughts. They have real physical effects. Think about that story of the hotel guest. He had a terrible night's sleep simply because he let the bad news, the ear full of trouble, dominate his mind before bed.
We've all been there.
Right. Contrast that with the person who had a deliberate go-to-sleep plan. Quiet Bible, reading the 23rd Psalm specifically, and prayer. Peale suggests that by consciously filling your mind with peaceful thoughts, you literally create peace inside, which helps your body rest and recover. It's an active choice.
An active choice, I like that. And he offers this technique, emptying the mind. But it's not just about getting rid of the bad stuff, is it? There's that analogy.
Dropping worries overboard. Yeah, it's a great visual.
From the stern of a ship.
Right.
But then the crucial part is immediately refilling the mind with creative and healthy thoughts. Why is that refilling part so important?
Because nature abhors a vacuum, right? Peale warns that if you just empty out the negative thoughts, they or other unhappy ones will just sneak in again. It's like cleaning house. You don't just throw out the junk. You put something better in its place. So drop the worry, then immediately fill that space with something positive, constructive, hopeful.
Okay, so proactive replacement.
Exactly. And this feeds right into his view on where unhappiness comes from. He flat out says, many of us manufacture our own unhappiness.
Ouch. That's quite direct.
It is. He tells that story of the lawyer's wife on the train, just complaining nonstop about everything. The train card, the service, the food. She was actively creating her own misery, regardless of the objective reality.
Yeah, I think we've all met someone like that.
Probably. And the counterexample is the person observed in the Pullman car who simply said, I make it a habit to be happy. It's not about being naive. It's a cultivated habit, a deliberate practice. Peale even includes that philosophy from H.C. Mattern's business card.
Yeah, the list.
Right. Keep your heart free from hate, your mind from worry. Live simply, expect little, give much. It's a whole program for living. And he ends it with, try this for a week and you will be surprised. Suggesting even short-term practice can make a difference.
That's a challenge right there. Try it for a week. Okay, what about modern tension? He mentions the sheer number of sleeping pills people were taking back then, 19 million a night in the U.S. How does this philosophy help with that kind of deep-seated tension, help us find what he calls easy power?
Well, the fundamental advice is to consciously slow down, quiet down, to actively practice peacefulness. It's about intentionally creating pockets of calm in your day, no matter how brief. He shares that great story about the businessman and his worry habit. Remember the ritual?
Tearing the calendar page off.
That's the one. At the end of each day, tear off the page, roll it up, drop it in the bin, and say a little prayer. The day is over. I'm giving it back to you. It's a physical act symbolizing letting go, forgetting those things which are behind, referencing Philippians. It makes letting go tangible.
That's actually quite clever.
Isn't it? And then there's Dr. Berkovitz praying and relaxing during traffic jams. Finding energy renewal value in those frustrating moments. It really teaches that peace isn't about waiting for perfect conditions. It's about choosing to cultivate it right where you are.
Finding peace in a traffic jam. That's advanced. Okay, so moving beyond just calming the mind, let's talk about prayer. Peale describes it as a scientific procedure for the release of spiritual energy. That sounds technical. What does he mean by scientific?
I think he uses scientific to suggest it's a repeatable process with predictable results, like following steps in an experiment. If you follow the method, you access these spiritual laws, is the idea. He even quotes that motto from Jack Smith's Health Club, affirmative prayers release powers by which positive results are accomplished. And then he lays out his core formula. Prayerize, picturize, actualize.
Okay, break those down for us.
Right. So prayerize is about talking to God simply, directly, not formally, but like a close partner in your everyday life, making that connection immediate.
Like a conversation.
Exactly. Then, picturize. This is about creating a clear mental image, printing a picture of the outcome you desire, holding it firmly in your mind, but also, importantly, releasing it to God's will. It's like mental visualization plus faith.
Okay.
And finally, actualize. This is where you get to work. You act diligently, intelligently, trusting you'll receive guidance. And Peale claims that if you do this, you'll see that picture start to become reality. The story he tells about the woman saving her marriage, that's a prime example. Her marriage was falling apart, but she started calmly picturizing her husband back home, visualizing harmony. She held the image, prayed, acted with kindness.
And it worked.
Astonishingly well, according to Peale. A complete turnaround.
Wow. Now, what about this idea of prayer involving vibrations? He talks about praying for strangers on a train. How could that possibly have a real effect?
Yeah, that's one of the more, let's say, esoteric ideas. Peale suggests our thoughts aren't just locked inside our heads. They generate these subtle energies, these vibrations. And positive, prayerful thoughts can send out positive vibrations that can influence people and situations, almost like broadcasting a positive frequency. He describes doing it himself, praying for random people he saw from the train, the farmer, the mother, the kid with a lollipop. And he felt a connection, a sense of happiness, like God's power was moving in a circuit through me to the boy and back to God. It's about radiating positivity.
Okay.
And he connects us to health, too, emphasizing the combination of God and the doctor. Healing isn't just medicine. Faith adds a vital component. Remember the story of the man with osteoma of the jaw, serious bone tumor, dire diagnosis.
Right.
But over 14 years, through persistent Bible reading and cultivating faith alongside medical care, he experienced complete healing. Peale sees faith as a powerful plus factor, a spiritual energy that boosts the healing process.
A combination approach.
Yeah.
So bringing it all together, this sounds like a constantly available source of power we can tap into. How does he see this applying everywhere, even in, say, business?
He fully advocates for seeing God as an unseen partner in all areas of life, including business. He shares that incredible story of the businessman facing bankruptcy. What does he do? He decides to effect a merger with God.
A merger with God.
Yeah. Started talking to God about his business problems, literally treating him like a partner or consultant. And he started getting these intuitive hits, these God-guided ideas that completely turn his business around. Peale insists this partnership gives you more good ideas than you can ever use.
Accessing infinite creativity, basically.
That's the idea, opening yourself up to divine wisdom. And this leads to the book's ultimate overarching claim, which is incredibly bold. There is no problem, difficulty, or defeat that you cannot solve or overcome by faith, positive thinking, and prayer to God.
No problem. That's a lot.
It is. But he backs it up with examples, showing people overcoming even immense struggles like alcoholism by tapping into this higher power. He maintains the methods are simple, accessible, and they work if you apply them.
Well, we've certainly covered a lot of ground in the power of positive thinking. We've looked at how Peale lays out this path to what he calls a victorious life, using these practical, faith-centered methods.
Yeah.
It's very clear he saw these not just as nice ideas, but as, well, scientific yet simple principles for real change in the real world.
Absolutely. And if that old idea is true, the one from Marcus Aurelius, that a person's life is what his thoughts make of it, then exploring this book really does push us to think about our own thinking, to actively shape that internal world. Knowing it can have such a profound effect on our external reality, it leaves you with a big question, really.
It is.
What thoughts are you cultivating day in, day out, and what might happen if you deliberately decided to shift that mindset? What surprising power might you unlock in your own life?